hinges on interest rates going down, then it's probably not the best business plan. So I don't know. I think most likely we'll hover around this level, maybe plus or minus 50 bips, hopefully minus, but I don't think we're going to see a really material change. I mean,
Yeah.
it's probably not going below 4, so
Yeah,
we'll
we've
see.
got. All right, welcome Real Estate Hustlers podcast. I'm your host, Josh Appleman, founder and CEO of Appleman Capital, Appleman Properties. Today we are joined with David Lilly. David is a multifamily investor, Marine veteran turned investor, has led acquisitions of over 2,094 multifamily units since 2013, leveraging his field-tested grit and full spectrum of real estate expertise. David, we appreciate you coming on the show today. If you could let the listeners know a little bit more about yourself.
Yeah, thanks for having me on, Josh. My investing journey began back in 2013. After getting out of the Marine Corps, landing that first full-time job as a firefighter. I leveraged a VA loan, got into my first single-family home, rented it out for a couple of years. After living in it for that first required year, and then decided to make the jump into multifamily. So I did that in 2018, bought a 6-unit deal, and have since grown to almost 1,800 units in DFW, vertically integrated with property management construction. So we've got about 20 full-time staff across the corporate teams, and with all our on-site personnel, about 70 full-time employees total.
Nice. That's starting with zero, starting with just
Starting with zero.
mind shift, mindset, and getting out with the experience and starting to do it. What made you want to shift to multifamily?
I was having success at the time I was probably making $400 to $500 a month in cash flow on that single family rental. Never, plus all the principal pay down, never really been a fan of the stock market. So I just decided to lean in. How do I scale was the next question. Continue to buy single family homes or jump right into multifamily, which has better economies of scale, that sort of thing. So that's what I did. Just bought a 6-unit deal in Tampa and continued growing from there.
So when you were starting to build it up, were you still using other real estate like your single family to help build up your multifamily? Because it's all capital intensive.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, that 6-unit deal coincided or was shortly after I sold that first single family home. So I was probably with the VA loan, I was probably out of pocket $3,000 on that house, and I sold it 5 years later and walked away with about 90.
Nice.
So I rolled that money right into that 6-unit deal. I was about 60% of the equity. I had a couple partners on that deal, and then just kept it rolling.
What led you to the next deal, and then how big was the next deal?
The next deal was 1.6 million, I think. So that first 6-unit property was right at $1 million. That next one was 1.6, and really it was just the interest that we were getting from our networks. Me and one of my business partners, everyone we talked to was very interested in what we were doing. Back in those days, I feel like syndication was still pretty new. A lot of people didn't know this kind of investing existed. So we were getting a lot of interest. This deal came across my desk, looked awesome. So we jumped on it. It was $450,000 equity raise that we were barely able to get over the finish line. So that was an interesting one, but we ended up holding that thing for 16 months, I think it was, and sold it and made, 60, I think it was 65% IRR, something crazy like that at the time. So
well, you bought it right. So, and then and then 16 months, you're on your second lease. Usually the second lease is where you get your real rent bumps after you're transitioning out of the renovations and raising rents.
Yeah. We sold it during COVID. In hindsight, we should have held on to it for another year, but at least we weren't left holding the bag. So to your earlier question about, capital intensive, we were fortunate to have a lot of good exits before the market kind of bottomed out, before interest rates hit their peak and we started to see, the negative rent growth across the Dallas market. So those exits were what enabled us to, to keep growing, to provide that capital that I reinvested into the business to keep growing, throughout the downturn. So it was we're very fortunate. Timing just worked out. A lot of luck on the way. Also,
Yeah, yeah. Luck has a lot to do with it too. Just but every time you sell, deploy, you get new capital in, you redeploy it, you grow. It's like forced growth. You don't want to sell. You want to keep everything, but at the same time, if you do sell, you get to grow a little bigger because now you've got capital to redeploy and put out there and find
exactly.
the next
Yeah.
deal. Um, Very cool. So what point you're growing your portfolio, and then you're creating new problems. New problems equals growth, but now you need new people inside to help manage. Did you start out managing your own properties, or did you try a third party?
We did not. Yeah. Um, Starting out, we had to go third party, small assets in, entirely different states than I was located in Dallas at the time. So Tampa and Phoenix were the first two multifamilies. We went third party, um, which was just a terrible experience. Really, it's hard to find someone good at that level, especially if you don't have boots on the ground and you can't really manage them the way you have to when you're dealing with third party managers with small properties. So that was just one more reason why we had to vertically integrate just as soon as possible.
Yeah.
The first property we managed was a 67 unit deal in Dallas. That was our first Dallas property. And at the time I managed it just because I needed money. I went full time real estate at the end of 2019. So I needed that fee income coming in just to keep me afloat and my family. And then we waited until around 225, 227 units in the portfolio until we brought all of them on. So we kind of ripped off the band-aid at that point, brought them all in house, and then started growing the company from there.
What year was that? Because I mean, you're talking recently, really.
22, yeah,
Yeah.
22.
Yeah. That's a lot of employees. You have to hire 100 people to get to 5 good ones. It seems like.
Yeah, there's a ton of turnover. Yeah, in the property management business. It's just, yeah, it takes a while to find those great people that hopefully stick with the company for life.
Yeah.
So yeah, it really. I mean, I was the only full time employee under the whole REAP umbrella until 2022. We went from zero to 70, I guess now in 3 years. So it was a long time building to get up to that point, but yeah, we've had some good years since then.
What is your all's tenant profile? And not
Uh,
tenant
we're
profile. What demographic? What sector of profile? I
Yeah,
guess.
we're workforce housing. So we
Okay.
own 169, 171, and the rest of the properties are built in the 80s. And then we have one 1995 asset. So, varying across the workforce spectrum. Some properties are more young professional, others more blue collar. Um, so that spectrum there.
So where are you all at with AI?
We actually just started a very interesting initiative called the REAP Incubator that we're trying to essentially give away office space in our new office in Dallas to new AI innovators and trailblazers. And we're asking for nothing in return. We just want to bring in people that are solving the same problems that we have, and that
Yeah.
could maybe learn about our problems, and that hopefully we can work together, and there will be some creative synergies involved. So that's interesting, very new. I just got off a call earlier today with one potential candidate, but other than that, that's hopefully that turns into us kind of launching some new products or integrations that we build out on our own in our organization. But some of our core processes, like the property management software, Appfolio is what we use. They've
Yeah.
got a ton of AI embedded in that. Our CRM,
They
HubSpot,
do,
ton
but
of
man,
AI.
they're. I think they claim they've got AI on Lisa, but
I
man,
haven't used Lisa. Yeah, I haven't used Lisa, but for their support, their chatbot.
yeah,
If you have a question, you don't know how to use something, you just ask it. I mean, that part is great. I mean, coming from RealPage, where you'd have to spend a whole day researching, like watching video to figure out how to
Yeah,
do something in that software, it's a breath of fresh air. But there's still a ton you could do that's not being done with AI, which is
yeah.
another reason why I wanted to, bring it internal, and
Yeah, we
take
use
charge of it.
AppFolio too, but they just their API calls are not robust at all. So we're kind
Yeah,
of bottlenecked with the software in a sense of being able to really leverage AI in a way that we want to.
yeah, yeah,
Um, Looking at different ways of accomplishing that, but they gatekeep all the APIs so you don't automate out of their system. So it's
yeah,
or
yeah,
use, but I mean it's holding you back too. At the same, you're most forced to use people that you can right now easily plug in something or an agent and get the same thing done.
right, yeah,
Uh, so we're, but the real thing, reason I asked workforce housing, we're workforce housing too, is we're seeing what we need to do to hedge against disruption at this point. Going back, seeing who's employing who, where they're working at, and
hmm
then what is our exposure if disruption takes place within the next 24 months. We have Section 8 tenants. We've got maybe 24% of our portfolio on Section 8. Do we push
okay,
that more? Because I like Section 8. I like the guaranteed rent. I like the
yeah.
tenancies longer.
In terms of job displacement due to AI,
Correct.
that sort of thing. That yeah,
It's coming
yeah.
down. It's coming
We
down the
haven't
pipe
even
fast.
yeah we haven't even started thinking about that. I feel like man, I feel like the white collar jobs may be getting displaced first, or maybe at the same level. Like there's a
Yeah.
ton of use cases for accounting and legal. Gosh, I've used ChatGPT for
Yeah.
legal analysis more times than I could count. Just to summarize things, it's been a huge help in that regard.
It's there's so many things coming in at once. So ChatGPT now has a deep analysis. So you plug in your SREO and let it go to town on giving you the analysis on how exposed your portfolio is, and then what your tenant profile is, and which assets
That's pretty cool.
you should drop, how you should pivot, what just because right, you have to forward think on these things because a lot of people are not looking for it because they're not looking for it, but things are happening really
Yeah, yeah,
fast
yeah,
behind the scenes, seismic shifts, and within the next 24 months, if people aren't doing things differently now, when that time comes, the whispers are going to talk and going to start making headlines and headlines, just like where was everybody at when COVID took place? The economy stopped. So what does that look? What does your portfolio look like today that might give you that same kind of exposure? And whether it's 24 months, 36 months, or maybe it's you're good no matter what. But I know we're tightening up our portfolio, if anything, to make us we're going to be in a better position than we are today.
yeah. You got to be thinking about that thing now. Be ready.
It's it's scary. I'm going to a lot of events and just getting into different rooms to just get I guess more information and what's
Yeah,
coming down the pipe. But that's why I ask because there's operator. It's we're responsible for the portfolio. So the more we know, the more we can hedge against different things that may or may not come. Who knows? But
exactly.
at least
Yeah.
we're looking for it. Tell us about your vertically integrated company because you're positioned exactly like we are, exactly how a true real estate company needs to be. You're an owner operator. So tell us what that looks like behind the scenes.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, in my opinion, if you don't have the infrastructure, if you don't have a team, and property management, construction, I mean, what do you really have? You really don't have anything, in my opinion. And I mean, going beyond that, it's made me better, a better operator in so many different ways. Being just having a deep involvement in property management, and like being in the meetings every week and really understanding the nuances that come with property management, underwriting, all the accounting, all that sort of thing. And just the control, like you're able to absorb so many of the bumps in the road, because you have the flexibility and you have the cost controls at every level being vertically integrated. So it enables you to be pretty nimble and absorb a lot of the things that are thrown at you. Whereas if you're relying on a third party, they're not going to reduce their fees for you.
No.
They're not going to carry any of that marketing expense at the property management level, things like that. So yeah, I mean, it's critical in my opinion at least if you plan to be in this business for a long time.
Yeah, it could be death by a million paper cuts just by the expense line items. And property management companies, they'll
Yeah.
throw money at the problem, but it still doesn't fix the problem.
Mhm.
Especially on scattered sites, much more intensive. But larger complexes, you can put systems in place. But same reason that you went brought it in house, same reason we did. Just expense control, control on the renovation process, evictions, collecting the rent. Yes, go knock on the door. Those sort of just manage it with an iron fist, keep things tight, and like you had mentioned, nimble. Um, Marketing. It's just it all
Yeah.
leads to a great operation and a true grit. You really, when you're owner led, it's running with true grit and going out there and
Yeah.
getting it.
And if you got involved, like if you started this business and you want to be, the lead operator, lead sponsor, it's probably because you want the control. So you might as well control the process. I don't want to leave it to someone else to decide, what kind of moves to make at the operations level, managing the property and that sort of thing. I want to know exactly what's going on so I can be involved in the decision making process and know, we're pivoting when we need to pivot, or we're making adjustments, trying different specials, lowering rents, increasing rents, whatever it may be. I want to know that things are being done and we're not just, I'm not just getting lip service or whatever it may be from my third party manager.
Yeah, and you know the struggles of hiring the people, and that same struggle doesn't go away just because you hire a third party. Now they're hiring for you and putting
Yeah.
any jack behind the seats to run the show, and it's just
It's
you know
painful. It's painful for anybody,
right. Well,
and
and
no
it's
one's going to
just
care as much as you care about your property.
that's right. That is exactly right. Pick the cigarette butt up. Next person's going to see it, and then perception is, it's just one thing leads to another. But if we're out there, we're checking properties out. Mattresses aren't left on the dumpster. Things get done, and things are kept well kept, and it works. One thing that we put in is called a Hello Data, and it basically comps all the other properties, their rent, what they're marketing rent to be, and then it uses AI, of course, but we're able to use more dynamic pricing on our rents by just incorporating different platforms too.
Really? Okay.
Get a emailed report every morning, and it's very intuitive. It tells you the amenities, the prices that they're out there marketing for, and then
Where are
it
they getting
has
that data from? Do you know?
they're aggregating it through all the same platforms that like
Yeah.
apartments.com,
Yeah.
Zillow, like all the rental platforms are aggregating the data.
Okay.
They see new units coming online, seeing when they're taken down, what they went for. They look at the pictures and see kind of what class property it's that we're comping against. So it's a very cool platform. We started using it, and it works. I mean, it definitely keeps us kind of in line. And then even when we're underwriting properties, see what we can push the rents to, just
Yeah.
having kind of an edge. So, how do you all handle the construction and renovation process?
Yeah. So we brought that in house beginning of 23, if I recall. We didn't intend to at the time. We were kind of forced to, just because the GC we're using at the time, their back office was a nightmare, or essentially non-existent. So we didn't know what we were spending, where we were spending it. We were completely in the dark, like had no idea. So we're like, we cannot keep doing this. So we brought it in house, and not just from a construction management perspective. We are the general contractor. Our subs work for us. We're managing all the material, full nine. Um, so, and it's been fantastic. Yeah, I'm extremely happy that we brought it in house when we did, because again, cost controls at every level, makes
Yeah,
makes you more flexible. There's, just affords a ton of flexibility with the business plan and transparency, and we're all in the same office, so the collaboration and the speed at which we can make decisions, it's just, there's no substitute
yeah.
for going third party when you're all under one roof, one team. It's been really great.
Yeah, procuring the labor and the material in house is it's a huge cost saver. You spend it more like it's your
Yeah.
own at that point.
Yeah.
I mean, we buy from Amazon a ton of the fixtures, a ton of the plumbing fixtures, and because you're a third of what it would be at Home Depot. Again, it's
Yeah.
cost control. And then you got your direct vendor contracts with PPG or Sherwin, and um, LVP, we've got great suppliers for LVPs. But again, it's procuring smart, and every unit's essentially the same, unless you've got different grades of renovations. But
Yeah.
um, yeah, that means everything. So Appfolio, you got your own construction in house, you've got your management in house, leasing. How are you all running your leasing operations?
All property management function. So we use several different marketing channels, to drive traffic, and that sort of thing. But we've got our properties. So for the listeners, all of our properties are mostly between 150 and 300 units. So big properties, big on-site teams. So we've got one, maybe two full-time leasing agents at each property.
Yeah.
So they're the ones handling the traffic, conducting the tours, that sort of thing.
Got it. Yeah, we introduced the Big Brother approach too. Got Central Hub. That way we can see what's coming in, follow up, follow through. It's just everyone's got somebody poking their shoulder because we all need that
Yeah,
just to stay
yeah.
on point, on task. And it's interesting how productivity seems to increase when you implement those sort of
Yeah,
things.
that's one thing I've really loved about Appfolio. All the workflows and automations that you can set up that,
Yeah,
create tasks for all your people to keep them on task.
yeah,
It just, it's organization. It helps everybody stay on task. And then, as the manager, who's completing the tasks and who's not, so it makes it super easy to stay on top of the team and make sure things are getting done timely.
yep. Totally agree. What's on the horizon for you? What are y'all looking for, and how big you want to get?
I mean, right now, sky's the limit. We're going to keep growing until, it just doesn't, until we feel like we've reached the ceiling and maybe we don't like what taking it to the next level looks like at that point, but now, growth is on the horizon. We set a goal this year to double the portfolio. So roughly acquire 2,000 units. But here we are almost halfway through June and we haven't made a single acquisition. So
Yeah,
you can't really control the quality of deals that come across our desk. We're staying disciplined. We've got our acquisition criteria. And if it doesn't hit it, it doesn't hit it. So I don't know. I haven't reviewed our pipeline, but we've probably underwritten 200 deals at this point this year. We've got a few that could develop into something. We made 4 offers last week. One of those already was awarded to another buyer that came in 3 million higher than us.
let them
So
have
those
it.
kind of yeah, those kind of yeah, exactly. Those kind of things we can't control. But yeah, I think we've still got a good chance to acquire at least 1,000 units this year, and then keep growing from there. So our goal is to be make the most amount of money in the shortest amount of time. We're IRR driven, so we want to be the firm that is able to produce the highest IRRs for compared to anyone else. So if there's a ceiling to that, I guess we'll find it eventually.
What are you thinking when do you think the 10 year is going to come down? What do you think of the interest rates are going to be?
Man, I've gotten to the point where I just no comment. we it's yeah. I've answered that question so many times on panels or podcasts, and it's like everybody's always wrong. No one has any idea where that thing's headed. So you better not bank on it. That's
Yeah.
that's the main takeaway from that. If your business plan hinges on interest rates going down, then it's probably not the best business plan. So I don't know. I think most likely we'll hover around this level, maybe plus or minus 50 bips, hopefully minus, but I don't think we're going to see a really material change. I mean,
Yeah.
it's probably not going below 4, so
Yeah.
we'll
We've got
see.
2 properties. I really want to get the cash out to redeploy. It's just like it's pointless to even go there. Just
Yeah.
your interest rate's going to be higher. You're paying. It's just pointless. But
Yeah.
what about distressed properties? What are you seeing out there?
We're seeing a ton of distress. Like starting last year, that was almost our sole focus. We weren't even really entertaining anything that didn't have a distress story. So, I mean, all 4 of the deals we acquired last year were all distressed. 3 of them, the lender foreclosed on, and then we partnered with that lender and bought the properties out of foreclosure. With the lender, essentially, it was a joint venture between the two parties. The fourth asset was essentially a lender for sale at the loan basis, and we've been looking for more of the same this year. We've seen a bunch. I mean, a lot of them, they don't even work at the lender's basis,
Yeah.
but lenders, we've seen some lenders being willing to, take a haircut, maybe, 90 cents on the dollar. But even at that level, still doesn't look like a deal. So, the ones we were able to make work last year, we're just super lucky that they happened to pencil, happened to be in Dallas in our backyard, in some markets we knew and we had assets in. So we haven't been as lucky this year. But we'll see. But
Yeah.
I would say that's probably 50% of our deal flow. Either lender foreclosures or headed to foreclosure, lender involved, sponsor trying to get out at their basis kind of deal, or at the
Yeah.
loan amount. Yeah.
Well, you can sleep at night. You don't need to worry about the property producing enough to pay the debt. I mean, buying it right's everything.
Yeah. Yeah.
To being disciplined is you don't need sleepless nights. It's but
Yeah.
that's what
I've had plenty of those.
yeah. I mean, and that's but at least that's through the performa. You'll get there. It's like a bow and arrow, it draws back before it springs forward. But if you buy it wrong, I mean, it's almost an impossible deal. Just buying it right, at least
Yeah.
you'll get it there.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's hard to fix, an inflated basis. It takes a lot of time, if anything, many years to climb out of that
Yeah.
hole.
Yep. No doubt, for sure. For takeaways for the listeners, if you knew now, or if you knew then what you know now, what would be some things that you would have done differently, or learning lessons along the way?
Um, in hindsight, I wish we had, a credit arm of the business. If and the next downturn, we will have one ready. We will pivot to, being offering more credit investments than equity investments. Because even now, it's so challenging to find a deal like an equity investment that is worth it. Those, they have to be extraordinary deals right now, or you might as well just invest in, credit. You might as well just invest in a REIT, a mortgage REIT, or something like that, because you're going to be making equity like returns with far less risk. So that's what I'll do the next downturn. We'll
Like a
pivot to
mesarm or
offering
a pref?
first position or pref. Yeah, but ideally first position. Yeah, we'll launch our own debt
Interesting.
fund, something similar.
I like it.
Hmm.
Yeah, that would put you in a pretty good place.
Yeah,
It's never too late to get one of those stood up, neither.
not too late. Hopefully we're about through it now. But yeah, I mean, as long as we still, still dealing with the negative leverage issue, then
Yeah,
it's going to keep being very challenging to find deals that are worth doing.
I agree. It's yeah, they're comping against the neighbor down the road is fully renovated and rents are already where they should be, and you buy this
Mhm.
property, but it's at that basis, so it still doesn't make sense. Um, what kind of books would you recommend to listeners? Get the mindset right.
um, let's see. I mean, managing a team. If you're going to vertically integrate, I would read Leadership Strategy and Tactics by Jocko Willink, former SEAL commander. Fantastic and very easy read. You'll read through that thing in probably 2 days or so. If you're just getting started out, The Hands Off Investor by Brian Burke is pretty detailed. It's written for those evaluating syndications, but when I read it, this was probably, I don't know, 2021 or 22. I learned a lot reading the book. So that was fantastic. Multifamily Millions, I believe it's called. It's been many years since I read that. Dave Lindahl, but that was the one that got me interested and got me like hooked on apartment investing.
Yeah,
So
he's
that's
huge.
that's yeah, it's pretty motivating read. But there's a million. Find me on LinkedIn, shoot me a message, and I'll send you a whole list that you can start reading.
I like it. Very cool. David, if somebody wants to get a hold of you and possibly invest alongside of you, how can they reach out?
Visit our website, reapcapital.com, REAP capital.com. Find me on LinkedIn, very active there. David Lilly with Reap Capital, or Instagram, DB Lilly, Twitter, Slumlord Actual.
I like it.
Yeah, always willing to help anybody.
That's it. Very cool. David, we appreciate your time. I look forward to following you. Thank you.
Thanks, Josh.
All
Appreciate
right.
you having me on.
Thanks. Bye.